passage from the sealed book of Moses, and then followed by the 48th chapter of Genesis, and we'll continue on from there. So we'd like to have as much discussion and comments as always welcome with whoever would, if you feel like you want to comment, please do. So, Zachary, did you have on your pages sealed book of Moses, chapter 11, verses 1 and 2?
Let me check.
If not, we'll just read it out of the book.
I think I got it. The Torah studies.
Yes.
Okay, and then what verse again?
Sealed book of Moses, chapter 11.
Okay, I think we might have that up here.
It starts with the word Judah, Judah.
I'm having trouble finding it. We might need to just read it out.
We'll just read it. If you do find it, that's fine. We'll also be going into the Genesis chapter 48 as well. So, okay. So, does everyone have a sealed book? And Brother Darren, would you like to lead us today? Read chapter 11, verse 1.
The microphone wasn't on. I just saw that. I had it switched on here, and I was wondering why when we were singing it before. And I do apologise to everyone for being late this morning. The reason being that the cookies on the computer were cleared out because we're searching for flights and doing all that sort of thing, and also disabling the AI that can track what we're searching for. And I couldn't find the center place. So I had to resend the link. That's why we're running late. So I apologize for that. Okay. Chapter 11 of Sealed Book of Moses, verse 1. Judah, your brothers will praise you. Your hand will be on the neck of your enemies, and the sons of your father shall bow down before your seed. For how much it is still a lion's cub. It is not the time of Judah to eat prey. Bow down for a while, my son, and lay down upon the nations of the earth like an adult lion roaring. Who among men will dare to awaken him? Do you want me to continue there or just stop there?
Well, let's just stop. You can read verse 2 in a moment. But let's just talk about Judah a little bit. Judah, of course, is one of the sons of Jacob. Does anybody know who was his mother?
That I don't know his mother. Yeah,
okay.
I don't know, Bob.
Well, I have the answer right here, so I don't know that I know any more than you are. But here, let me just review. Of course, Leah was Jacob's first wife, and she had 4 sons in succession. Reuben, number 1, Simeon, Levi, and then Judah. So Judah was the 4th son born to Jacob. And then, of course, we've got the other eight sons there. So, but Judah was giving some special responsibilities of the Lord. And so we have this blessing from Jacob onto Judah. And so let's go on then with number 2, Darren, verse number 2.
Sure. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes. The promised descendant and the peoples of the earth shall be gathered unto him for all generations of Israel, to rise again in the fullness of all times as king over all nations.
Okay, there's a lot in that verse. Does someone
Yeah.
like to explain it? What this verse is about? What's it actually saying?
The scepter shall not depart from Judah.
Looks like we have Brother Aaron.
Okay,
Please.
so there.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm no expert, but a thought I had is the law of Moses is fulfilled in Christ. But there's so much more to that.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's certainly part of it. So he's talking here about when Shiloh comes, the promised descendant, which is a reference to Christ, and then all the peoples of the earth shall be gathered unto him for all generations of Israel to rise again in the fullness of all times as king over all nations. So that's depicting a future event, is it not? Because, of course, in the meridian of time, or in the, what does it say here? Comes until Shiloh comes. Of course, he came in the meridian of time, but he wasn't certainly king over all the nations. And I think that will happen at the end of all times, as it said here. So we're looking ahead for how is this going to happen? How is this blessing, or how can the Lord be, I'm getting the right words here, king over all the nations? You know, the nations have to submit to his rule, don't they? Because the Lord's not going to make it by force. But we know the Lord is tenacious and not going to give up. And so he's working with a group of people he calls the house of Israel. You know, these 12 sons in particular. Leah had 6 sons, and then then Bilhah had 2, Zilpah had 2, and Rachel had 2. And then, of course, we had Manasseh and Ephraim came later. But this house of Israel is still, we still see it coming up. It's not an event that happened decades ago, eons ago, and not happening again. The Lord's constantly working with this. And I find it interesting that today, each of the apostle candidates that we have that will be ordained at the July conference, God willing, each are giving a responsibility from one of the tribes of Israel. And isn't that interesting? I mean, the Lord in Revelation will dictate that. So he has certainly not given up with the house of Israel. And we know that part of the patriarchal blessings, it was common, or is an expectation that perhaps some people were identified as to what house of Israel their lineage was a part of. So anyway, so here we go. So we're talking about Judah being the lawgiver, and that the responsibility for the administration of the kingdom of God on earth, I think, would be centered around this tribe. So, okay. So that's all I wanted to read out of the sealed book. And if you have any other comments, please ask. Now we'll go to chapter 48 in Genesis. Did you happen to have that one, Zachary, or not?
Yeah, I can help if needed.
Chapter 48.
Yes.
I got 46 and 47, but I'm not sure about 48.
It would be down later. It skipped down just a little bit in your book. I thought I saw it in your list.
Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. We'll have to figure it out after class.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm not
We should have compared notes before. Well, Brian, go ahead. Will you read us
Yep. It's from verse 1, is it, Brother Bob?
Yeah.
Verse,
We're going to read all of chapter 48. If you would just read a few verses, pause where you feel like you need to, and we'll comment on
Okay.
that. Thank you.
Good. Okay, chapter 48 of Genesis and verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that it was told Joseph, saying, Behold, thy father is sick. And he took with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And it was told Jacob, saying, Look, and behold, thy son Joseph cometh unto thee. And Israel strengthened himself, and he sat upon the bed. And Jacob said to Joseph, God Almighty appeared unto me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and blessed me. And he said unto me, Behold, I will make thee fruitful and multiply thee, saith the Lord, and I will make of thee a multitude of people, and will give this land to thy seed after thee for an everlasting possession. And now of thy two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt, before I came unto thee into Egypt, behold, they are mine, and the God of my fathers shall bless them, even as Reuben and Simeon, they shall be blessed, for they are mine, wherefore they shall be called after my name. Therefore they were called Israel. And I'll pause it there and let
Okay.
a reader perhaps take.
All right. Well, thank you. Do you have anyone have a comment on what we just read? What was Brian read? But okay, so what is the setting here? Joseph is at the end, not Joseph, Jacob, also called Israel here, of course, is ill, and he's pronouncing a blessing on his sons, and he's including Ephraim and Manasseh, who were born to Joseph. And
Yep.
I had mistakenly thought that he had married an Egyptian woman, but brother John Pratt pointed out that she was a Seneth, was an Israelite descent, and so which is interesting. So Ephraim and Manasseh really are like number 13 and 14 in the list, but they replaced Joseph, and it's still referred to as the 12 tribes. So that's interesting. And of course, now what we know about Ephraim and Manasseh is that it's commonly, known that Ephraim is largely the Gentiles that settled in the United States, or a part of which, European countries and probably Australia as well. And Manasseh, what was significant about Manasseh? Who's the lineage of Manasseh that we all know, we're familiar with? Who's that, Aaron?
My first thought is a lot of the Native American tribes.
And yes, but in the Book of Mormon, it was the patriarch Lehi. It was of the lineage of Manasseh, and so which is interesting.
Wow. Yeah.
And welcome, Brother Tyler, and I think Sister Renee. And Melba, welcome to our class. So we're in the 48th chapter of Genesis. We're just kind of getting an understanding here of what's written here about the Jacob's blessings to his tribes, or to his sons. And so it's interesting to note that he says that in chapter 5 that thy two sons Ephraim and Manasseh, behold, they are mine, and the God of my father shall bless them, even as Reuben and Simeon. Well, of course, Reuben and Simeon were the first and second born of Jacob, and Ephraim and Manasseh were the first and second born, or the Manasseh and Ephraim were the first and second born of Joseph. So I don't know if that's how significant that is, but that's a parallel. Okay. Okay, so let's continue reading with number 6, unless there's any further comments. Brian, are you good for another 5 verses or so?
Yes, I can,
Yeah.
Brother Rob. Yep, for sure. And this is verse 6.
Yes.
And thy issue which thou begettest after them shall be thine, and shall be called after the name of their brethren in their inheritance in the tribes. Therefore they were called of the tribes of Manasseh and Ephraim. And Jacob said unto Joseph, when the God of thy fathers appeared unto me in Luz, in the land of Canaan, he sware unto me that he would give unto me and unto my seed the land for an everlasting possession. Therefore, O my son, he hath blessed me in the raising thee up to be a servant unto me, in saving my house from death, in delivering my people, thy brethren, from famine which was sore in the land. Wherefore the God of thy fathers shall bless thee, and the fruit of thy loins, and they that shall be blessed above thy brethren and above thy father's house.
Okay, let's stop there a moment. I
Okay.
think Brother Aaron, I think, had a comment, so let's catch that as we go on.
I did, but I don't want to hold up the class
No,
meeting.
go ahead. We're just going. That's fine. What was your comment?
Well, I just read out of Isaiah and Jeremiah today, and this just had me really thinking that we see a pattern when the Jews were taken to Babylon, and there was a lot of prophets that kept saying, oh, this won't be that long. And Jeremiah was saying, no, it's going to be 70 years. That's what the Lord said. So be obedient for that 70 years, build houses, have families, and the Lord he has a purpose. And then I went and read in the Acts of the 3 Nephites, and the Lord himself explained why. It's so he could graft in more fruit. But I didn't want to comment because I felt like I was all.
Oh, that's fine. Absolutely. Well, there definitely is. The Lord's hand is, it's marvelous to see how he works. Even in what we look as a tragedy, he uses it. He's in that situation where Israel was taken captive, or the house of Israel was captive in Babylon. And also, of course, in Egypt, it was, this is where the birthplace of the house of Israel, took place. Yet the people were living in an idolatrous country, and although they still kept their traditions, their Jewish traditions. Was there any other comments? Okay, let's go on then. Brian, can you continue where you left off?
Oh, I was going to get Darren to.
Yeah.
Oh,
do
Darren?
it.
Good.
I can. Thank you.
Yeah,
My
where-
voice is a bit strange at the moment.
Where did you finish up here?
I finished at 10 as
Okay, 11. Okay.
No, read 10.
Oh,
10,
read 10,
okay.
sorry. Yep.
For thou hast prevailed, and thy father's house had bound down unto thee, even as it was shown unto thee, before thou wast sold into Egypt by the hands of thy brethren. Wherefore thy brethren shall bow down unto thee from generation to generation, unto the fruit of thy loins forever.
Okay, let's stop there.
Yeah, thank
Anybody
you.
recount what was this reference where the father's house had bowed down unto thee? Does anybody remember what that was about? Who was that? Aaron, go ahead, please.
I'm sorry if someone else wants to comment, but I think it's obstinacy. I think I remember reading that in Sealed Moses somewhere. I want to hear what Sister Renee or Brother Tyler have to say.
Okay, yes. I think that's Sister Renee, please.
Well, I remember in Genesis, the book of Genesis of the Bible, that Joseph had dreams. And I remember one of the dreams that his brothers, his siblings, and his parents were symbolized in different things. I think there was two different dreams. And Jacob even said to him, "Your mother and I are going to bow down to you." So I think it was those two dreams that it might be referring to.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you. Oh, was it Brother Tyler? Go ahead.
Yeah, so when there was a drought or a famine, they had to go down to Egypt, and Joseph told them that the Lord had gone before him to prepare the way to preserve a remnant. In other words, to preserve his father's house, because Joseph was sent for that reason, because he interpreted Pharaoh's dream and allowed for them to store grain for 7 years so that there was plenty in Egypt. And so that dream that he had earlier before he was sold into captivity was fulfilled when his father's house bowed down to him, because he was right underneath Pharaoh. And so they actually had to ask their brother for food so they wouldn't starve to death. They didn't recognize him, realize who he was. But those dreams he had earlier in life, where he saw those other sheaves bowing down to the one sheep, and they mocked him, and his father thought that wasn't a wise thing to share with everybody. It was literally fulfilled later in life. So he was a means of salvation for his entire father's house.
Okay, thank you. Is there any parallels between what happened then and what's happening now in the second invitation? Can you envision in your mind a parallel between, especially between those in the United States and those in Brazil or other countries? It just seems like it's the same pattern, that God is using Brazil to save the house of Israel. And the part about the brothers not recognizing Joseph, well, I think we know that at least the people of the Restoration in Independence didn't recognize who Mauricio is as the prophet called of God. So I think I would say that those are a couple of parallels. Anyone else want to comment? Okay, well, let's go on then. Brother Darren.
Excuse me, Brother Bob.
Oh,
Sister Renee's got her hand up there. Yeah.
okay.
Oh, I think I forgot to take my hand down, but since he mentioned that, I will say Mauricio is parallel to Joseph of Egypt in that he is working to prepare us for a time where we will need to have reserves set back and be self-sustainable. And so he is a parallel to Joseph of Egypt as well in some ways.
Oh, yes. Yes, I can see that. Absolutely. Okay, Brother Tyler.
Yeah, since you mentioned that, so when Jesus describes what's going to happen in the future in Acts of the Three Nephites, he uses the story of Alma as an example, and it talks about where they had fled from the king, and then they found an abundant land, and so it was an exodus and a preservation. And the prophets did this also, like Isaiah uses many examples from the scriptures that we already know of, like the Exodus out of Egypt, to illustrate what's going to happen in the future. And so Jesus does the same thing And so, yeah, there's a parallel in that sense. There's some goodly land like Alma and his people had found, and they says they were industrious. They immediately began building buildings in a city, and they were blessed and prospered until it was time to return to Zarahemla. So I think there's a parallel there that there was, well, there's several parallels, but yeah, with Egypt, Joseph being a preservation and the land of Brazil being designated as a gathering place in our day for the preservation of the Lord's people, for their salvation. I
Okay,
agree.
thank you. Yeah, I remember a reference in the sealed book. It says, in the fullness of times, it was just like Alma's people were driven into the wilderness. So will the people in the last days also. So we know that's an event that will happen, and so as Sister Renee says, we're trying to prepare. Mauricio is preparing the church for that event. So God willing, we'll be ready. So through all our struggles, we're trying. So, and the purpose is to preserve this house of Israel. That's my feeling. Not necessarily, and don't get this wrong, not necessarily to preserve the lives of individuals, but to preserve the life of the church through the house of Israel. And so individuals, who knows what each of us will be called to do, but some will obviously be in the refuge and in those places of safety and continue to live for, I think, for a period of time. So, okay, where are we up to now? Did we read number 11? So I can read 11. I'm sorry. For thou shalt be a light unto my people, to deliver them in the days of their captivity and from bondage, and to bring salvation unto them when they are altogether bowed down under sin. Oh boy, we can't let that verse go by. So who would like to elaborate on that verse? Do you see some things that stand out to you? Anybody? Okay. Whoever, Brother Tyler?
Yeah, so I think there's a parallel. There's, and the following, well, so chapter 12 in the sealed book goes into more detail, but that Joseph had a remnant through Manasseh that came to the New World. And also it was a descendant of Joseph, who was Joseph Smith, who was the one to bring them out of darkness in his day and to be a lawgiver, to restore the ordinances of the Lord's house. And so this idea of bondage and captivity is similar to Moses, and Joseph Smith was in the likeness of Moses because he was delivering the people. I don't know if that's exactly what's being referenced here, but and this passage that we're reading is only in the inspired version, so there's not a basis in the Hebrew Bible, but it was revelation that Joseph Smith received, which gives us more detail, and it's also in the sealed book. So it was written by Moses. But that's what I thought of when we read this verse was the people in general. Christianity was in darkness, and the Lord raised up a seer to bring them out of that darkness, out of that bondage of their precepts, their personal precepts.
Well, thank you. I totally agree with that. I think the bondage, we obviously can see now that those of us have been in the church now for a few years, realize that it is a bondage to be our precepts, our traditions, our unbelief. It is a bondage, and it brings darkness. And so now we can see that, whoa, there's light. And that's it, that the light is breaking forth. And so, yes, I think this should be an inspiring verse that we all can. There's a way out, which says we're all bowed down under sin, the sin of obstinacy, of unbelief, of so on. And so there is, the light has come, the light unto my people. Okay, well, let's go on. Brother Darren, would you continue then with 12 and read a few verses?
Sure, no problem. And therefore, as for me, when I came from Padan, Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan, in the way when we were yet but a little way to come to Ephrath. And I buried her there in the way of Ephrath. The same is called Bethlehem. Do you keep going again?
Yeah, please read some more.
And Israel beheld Joseph's sons and said, who are these? And Joseph said unto his father, they are my sons, whom God hath given me in this land. And he said, bring them, I pray thee, unto me, and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were dim for age, so that he could not see well. And he brought them near unto him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said unto Joseph, I had not thought to see thy face, and lo, God hath showed me also thy seed. And Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand towards Israel's right hand. And he brought them near unto him. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the God which fed me all my life long unto this day. The angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head. And Joseph said unto his father, not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. And he blessed them that day, saying, In thee shall Israel bless, saying, God make thee as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And he set Ephraim before Manasseh. And Israel said unto Joseph, Behold, I die, but God shall be with you, and bring you again unto the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to thee one portion above thy brethren, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow. And
Okay, thank you. Yep. Okay, I'm not sure about verse 28, but that's interesting how the younger received the greater blessing. And we can see that perhaps today, the Ephraim being that nation which is, well, the tribe, which is instrumental in helping this gathering of the house of Israel, especially in our day. Hopefully, that those who are the lineage of Ephraim have a great work to do. There was a comment? Who was that? Eric? No.
I don't know whether
Eric.
this is
Yeah.
applicable for now. Sorry, Brother Bob. Yeah, I don't know whether this is applicable right now, but I did note in Ezekiel, everyone knows that in chapter 37, verse 16 and in 19, mentioning about the stick of Judah and the stick of Ephraim being joined.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and I
probably
think those of the restoration would say that's the Book of Mormon and the Bible
Yes,
becoming
that's-
one, a testimony, one testimony, and we know that because
Yeah.
you know I kind of see it as a not a pyramid, but the Bible is the foundation. Even the Book of Mormon adds light to that, and then the revelations in the Restoration and so on, and they sort of add up. Everything. The Bible is the basis. I mean, I found it interesting in 1830s, 1829, 1830s, when the church was being formed, the people believed in the Bible. I mean, they knew the Bible. And I think probably better than we know it today. I mean, in general. And so that's what they had to go on. And fortunately, there were the Spirit of the Lord rested in power on people, and they didn't get sidetracked on some of the things that people do today, saying you can't add to the Bible, et cetera, et cetera. But yes. And one thing in Isaiah in particular, it talks about the drunkards of Ephraim. I think it points out that the Ephraim is given the greater responsibility. There's times when it's missing out, when it's not performing its duty. It needs to step up and do what the Lord intended. So I think that's a challenge to all of us, that we can fulfill our part to help the house of Israel be gathered again. Brother Tyler?
I think it's a little bit interesting that Jacob, which his mother knew he really should receive the spiritual blessing, but they had to be a little bit creative to get that done. And here, Joseph sets his two sons, the older and the younger, before his father and expects those hands to go out straight. But Jacob knows who to bless with the greater blessing. And so he crosses his hands in order to give the greater blessing to Ephraim. And so it's wonderful how the Lord arranges these things. And sometimes it seems strange for us that these types of things occur, and yet it was discerned by Jacob in this case. And even in the case of Isaac, he questioned. He said, well, your arms feel like Esau, but you sound like Jacob. So, and yet it was Jacob who was to receive that blessing.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So what time is it now? Well, it's probably is this a good stopping place for today? We're at the end of chapter 48, and we're going to continue with next time we meet. We'll continue with chapters 49 and 50 in the inspired version, and read some passages out of the sealed book. There's one more scripture today that I'd like to read, and that's in Revelation. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 5, verse 5. And I'll get there in a moment.
I have it here if you wanted, Brother Bob.
Well, go ahead. I might be a while. Okay, go
Okay.
ahead, please, brother.
Right.
Brother Ryan.
Revelations, verse 5 in chapter 5. And one of the elders saith unto me, Weep not,
It's all right. It's okay. I'll drop.
weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof.
Okay,
And it,
that's enough. Well,
okay, thank you.
and so you can see this reference to the tribe of Judah, and obviously the greatness of the minister here of this responsibility to open the book is a reference to Christ, and so we can see the prophecies that we just read in Genesis about Judah. The scepter shall not depart from Judah. That Jesus comes and as part of the tribe of Judah, and to loose the 7 seals. And so we know that's a reference to the part of the sealed book that hasn't been unsealed yet. And so I think it's interesting. From here we've gone from Genesis to Revelation, and we can see beyond Revelation. We can see all the scriptures that have come to us beyond the Revelation. So the saga continues, that the Lord will restore the house of Israel and obtain a people who are ready to serve him. And so for what is the purpose of having the house of Israel in a spiritual condition, in a good spiritual condition? The purpose is to what? To people that is ready to receive the Christ.
Yeah.
And so I guess if I could say it in other words, Jesus cannot return until there's a people ready to receive him.
Yeah.
I mean, what would be the purpose? So, okay. I don't have any further comments unless anyone else does. Just thank everyone for their comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put me on.
Yeah, you're on.
Okay. Brother Bob, just a comment here, and that is that this is a fascinating revelation that is being presented here. And I know my mind is a bit fuzzy on some of the earlier readings, but I would say that it would be worthwhile for the class if they could read these 2 chapters ahead, which is 49 and 50 of the Genesis, but also that I've always been touched by the fact that the 12 sons of Israel, Jacob, and the way the Lord moved with Joseph to preserve the family so that this would still continue to our day with the blessings of him being in charge of the food stores that were then, by the revelation that there was going to be this happen. And it's just fascinating to me to see the connection of that down to our day now, because the Lord has always cherished right from Abraham that he wanted a people that he could call his own property, and that's the longing that's always been in his heart, obviously all the way through. But we can read about it, and my suggestion is that the class might find it quite interesting to brush over. I certainly will, because my mind is rusty on it. But some of these things that you've mentioned have come back in my mind and say, oh yes, I knew that, or it's just something that had slipped my memory. Thank you anyway.
Okay. Well, thank you all.
Brother Tyler.
There was one other thing of what we read that I wondered about what it means, but So it has to do with Reuben and Simeon, who were the firstborn of the sons of Jacob, and they were the sons of Leah, who was the older daughter. And so, according to their custom, Laban told Jacob that he had to marry Leah because she was the oldest and she was still single, and before Rachel would be available. And so Jacob worked 7 more years for the one that he loved. But in the case of Reuben, who was the oldest, there was a transgression where he would disqualified himself, that receiving the greater inheritance. So that, interestingly, then went to Joseph, who was the oldest of you could say the chosen wife, the real wife that was intended for Jacob, that he loved. And so the blessing of Ephraim and Manasseh came to Joseph through those, just like in the other examples, the circumstances that happened. But in this chapter that we read, chapter 11, also of the sealed book, it's very clear for us that both Judah and Joseph have a special role in God's plan. And there were descendants of those tribes who were key people in the Lord's work throughout time. And so those prophecies were fulfilled and yet will be fulfilled more so in our day. But it had to do with the faithfulness of not necessarily who was born first, even though that was the custom among them. So our faithfulness to the Lord is key in our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Bob, for presenting the class. Very good. Stop the